Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Welcome to Thursday Video tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and the beard is looking luscious tonight. Luscious. Thank you for coming on in. Dr. Michael Masters is here with us. His hair recently cut, very high and tight tonight, looking handsome as ever, as we talk about extratempestrial terrestrials, or whatever the hell he calls them. Hey, we're glad to have all of you here as well, with Laura Lobbs in the gold medal position, race fan with a silver, and Tim Mothman in his goatee with a nice bronze medal tonight. Hello, lovely Kira, Marty Burback, and Jimmy Gonzalez. Good to see you. Roy the Boy and the attorney at large, Michael Morris. Glad to have you here. Hello, sweet Pam Harris. Welcome to Winter Solstice. Gizmo, how you doing? Chris 716, Marie Palmer, Vash the Impaler, Desert Rat, purple-haired Pixie Lara. Nice to see you. And there's Kathy Evans and Ruth Kleber, T-Bone and Roger Murray. How you doing? Lisa C, Simon the Likeable, Digger Dog. Nice to see you all. Samantha Hazelwood Gray, good to have you here. Hi, Jennifer Patterson. Glenn John McEnroe is here. The Pride of Wimbledon will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. There he is, starting at center ice tonight, wearing number 17 from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. Good to see you. Okay, continuing on, just another guy named Harry, Chillgasm, Nikki in Seattle. Good to see you. Palladium, my man. Thank you for coming on in. Paramarv, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Jenny White Bear, thank you for joining us as we continue on with roll call here tonight. And Thomas Rock, good to have you back. Let's continue on here. Canna Chef Chris. Jeremy Jones is back. Jeremy Jones will be signing autographs after the show as well. Light up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Vanessa and Guy Calgary, how you doing? SG Nav Spotter, good to see you again. And who else is joining us tonight? Dragonfly, thank you for coming on in. Hello, Paula Fost and Kurt M. Welsh Hammer, good to see you. Badass Billy Gunn, why? Because he's an ass man. There he is. Richard Elmore, good to see you. Eternity Eternal, thanks for coming on in. Hi, Mentira, thank you for joining us. JSCO and Desert Rat, good to see you both. Christine Lynn, thank you for joining us. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Continuing on with roll call. Who else do we have here? Let's see. Moon Freedom, good to see you back. And who else? Scrolling down, Aaron Bacca, thank you for coming on in. And Gizmo, thank you for kicking off this super chat tonight. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you, Gizmo. Very much appreciate it. Let's start the radio side, shall we? As we await the arrival of our good friend Bill WD-40 to lube us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. Spiraling 69, welcome to SOR Chat. Hello, Nicole Sakic. How are you? Body Tech, good morning to you in the UK. And there's Bill. He's lubing it up as we speak, making sure we're nice and smooth tonight. And who's in the Facebook side? Let's say, hello, Susan Lawrence. Thank you for coming on in. And where else are we? Yeah. Robert Lamoth, good to see you. And All right, we are caught up there so far. Dr. Michael Masters is our guest tonight. And Chamo, welcome to SOR Chat. We got 30 seconds. Reminder, the Super Chat is open as well. You can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. Nothing ugly that you're going to wear to, at maximum, a flea market. Nothing like that. Maureen Green, good to see you. Thank you for coming on in. We're going to have a great show tonight. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. And do me a favor, everybody. Get those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. You can join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers Club. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a fun show tonight. It's always a great time when Dr. Michael P. Masters from Montana Tech University joins us to talk about aliens, time travelers, UFOs, and much, much more. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton kicks it off with Among the Missing. Robin Haynes will be here for the Crypted Report. It's Dave 101 night and the strange news of the week. Dr. Michael P. Masters is a professor of biological anthropology at Montana Tech University in Butte, Montana. He received his Ph.D. from the Ohio State University back in 2009, where he specialized in hominin evolutionary anatomy, archaeology, and biomedicine. Recently, his research examines the premise of UFOs and aliens could be our future human descendants, returning to visit and study their own evolutionary past. In 2019, he published Identified Flying Objects, a multidisciplinary scientific approach to the UFO phenomena. Then in 2022, the Extratempestrial Model, the Extratempestrial Model, Extratempestrial Island Terrestrial Model. There we go. Finally got it. And then in 2023, earlier this spring, Revelation, the Future Human Past. He's one of the greatest voices in this community talking about all things UFO and strangeness. Dr. Michael B. Masters, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me all right?
You're sounding good. You're looking good. Your hair looks fine. Your beard is nice and trimmed. Can you hear us?
Yeah,
okay?
I knew I couldn't compete, Dave. I saw you getting longer, and I was like, I gotta go shorter. I can't keep up with this level of sexy.
Well, you know what? Somebody has to do it. And, I'm building a beard for winter, and the snow keeps melting. It's terrible up
Yeah,
here.
I know. Isn't that funny? We've got nothing. Like our ski resorts are empty. We're void of snow. It's crazy. But you got the beard in case it comes. You got the end times beard. Maybe focus on that.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. If something comes up, if it happens, I'm ready. That way I can start using terms like fourscore and yonder.
Yes.
Anything to kind of do that. Merry Christmas to you and your family, first and foremost. And I hope
Thanks. You as well, my friend.
I hope you have a
Can't
holiday.
can't believe it's almost time. What are we, like 4 days away from the big day? Santa Claus coming to town. Is that what they say?
Oh yeah. I'm a you know what, dude? I'm 50 years old and I'm still a big Santa Claus fan.
You know, you
S-
don't look a day over 59, Dave.
I know. I know. It's amazing. It's amazing how I'm able to age myself, but still look younger than 59.
Yeah. No, man, I'm excited. Like Christmas is a fun time of year. You get to the age where you don't really feel it as much, I think, but then having kids, you can kind of feel the vibe through your kids and see their excitement. So they're all stoked about it. So I am too.
Right on. Right on. And what is Santa Claus bringing this year?
Well, mostly coal. Um,
Good. Good.
for Yeah, we use a lot of coal here in America. I know you guys are much more energy efficient up there in Canada, but yeah, it's a very coal-based economy, so that's all we ask for. We just say, please bring us something to keep our house warm. No, I actually did. I just got, I don't know if you can see it in the background, but I got a wood burning stove recently.
Oh, nice.
Also kind of a Christmas purchase, but no, I don't know. It's always fun to see what Santa brings.
You got that right. And before we get going, you do have a resident moose that hangs around your house. Have you seen the moose lately?
You know, I haven't, Dave. It worries me a little. I don't think anything happened to the moose. I just think it's I'd like to think it's out finding a moosette and they're snuggling up together on these cold winter nights. But no, I actually haven't seen it for a while. Did I tell you about my moose poop earring business?
You did tell me about the moose poop earring business.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I stopped doing that, and I can't help but wonder if they're related because I got really sick of making moose poop earrings, and I quit making them, and the
Hmm.
moose stopped coming. So I
Wow.
almost wonder if like if I was manifesting the poop, and the moose was just like here for business, and then it's like, well, if you're not selling my poop biscuits as earrings anymore, then I'm not going to show up. It's,
Yeah.
correlation doesn't equal causality, but the moose has not been here since the last day I sold the last pair of moose poop earrings. So
Well, you better get that started again.
I know
I
I
mean,
miss them. I miss them. I miss them a lot.
yeah, I can tell, and if you can't have a moose or deer as your closest neighbors, it's just you're not in the wilderness enough.
No, no. I mean, if you lived in like Antarctica or something,
Yeah. Yeah, but
you
then you
wouldn't
go to the
expect to see
penguins.
that.
You go to the penguins then.
True, they have the king penguins. In the North Pole, they have the polar bears, which I would not want as my neighbors.
No. No, they're destructive.
Kodiak bears. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just destructive. Anyways, been a busy year for you. You were traveling all over the United States talking about UFOs and time travel and extraterrestrials. I mean, looking back at 2023 for yourself, did you think you'd be as busy as you were getting into this subject?
Um, yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I guess when you're trying to like get an idea out there in front of people, you hope that you'll be able to do that or people will care or they'll at least like, you know, want you to come tell them things, whether it's true or not. And I obviously don't claim any of it's true, but it is, I feel like a theory that should be discussed. I've found that a lot of people are reluctant to think about it, and there's various reasons for that. But I do think once people are exposed to the idea, the simple idea for your listeners that aren't familiar, it's the concept that UFOs and their pilots are potentially are time traveling human descendants coming back to study their own past. And the pretty much the only reason I put that out there was to hear all of the different ways that you pronounce the extratempestrial model. It's really fun for me to hear those. And yeah, I hope to continue traveling and talking about these things just to hear you butcher various versions of the interpterodactyl entrails hypothesis or whatever you call it. But no, it's been good. Like I get tired of traveling like everybody does, but I feel like it is important to talk about this and to meet people. And yeah, I just got back from New York City, the Inquiry into Anomalous Experiences conference with Jay King and James and Leslie Kane, and it was really amazing to meet a bunch of people with a lot of different backgrounds and experience. And it was cool too because it was a really different sort of demographic. You go to these various conferences, and a lot of times it's different people based on what the content is. And this one was really unique because it was small, really intimate, a lot of really vibrant, vivacious, interested people with a lot of passion for the subject. Kind of a younger demographic too, for whatever reason. Maybe it's because it was in New York. But no, it was cool. It was great to see just that level of engagement and questioning and inquiry into what is potentially a very important question.
Why do you believe that there is something more going on with the future rather than aliens coming from space?
Well, I don't necessarily think those are mutually exclusive, though. Like it can be space aliens too. And I guess that's one thing that I have to get out in front of and feel like I have since the beginning, is that I don't think this idea is mutually exclusive. There's a lot of potential explanations for this phenomenon, and I go out of my way to acknowledge that this time travel model, even though it should be considered, isn't going to answer all the questions. Like it's probably interdimensional, crypto terrestrial, ultra terrestrial, all of the different theories may come into play here. I don't think it can explain the reptilian aspects of it. The mantids, potentially, they're extremely distant future humans, but yeah, I don't know. But I do think we should consider this, especially based on the fact that the vast majority of cases are humans in some form or another, hominins, if we just want to back it up to that. And then you go even further back and you have tetrapods, which go back 400 million years on this planet. And all of the characteristics that we have in common with mammals, two gut openings, bilateral symmetry, that we have four limbs, the whole tetrapod characteristic thing. But then once you get into hominins, we walk upright, we have big heads, small faces, big eyes, and there's these, as you know, we've talked about this before, these trends that if they continue into the future are going to be pretty much what we'd expect to see in these future humans. And it's the same thing we see in these various. Uh, I mean, what do we even call them anymore, Dave? We got pigeonholed again. We were calling them extraterrestrials, and then that became the buzzword, and now we're not using that. We're calling them non-human intelligences. But if they are human, what do we do with that? Like, I ask you, I ask your listeners in the chat, wherever, like, give us another name, some other term, something that we can ascribe to them that we can talk about in pop culture. Because now it's just NHI, it's NHI, it's non-human intelligence, but they look pretty damn human.
Do you think then that changing another acronym is going to give it any more credibility?
No, but it does shape the way we think about it. Like it with extraterrestrial, it used to piss me off because extraterrestrial was like back when pretty much the only people talking about it were the folks from uh Ancient Aliens. And that was always the default term, extraterrestrial, extraterrestrial. And then we got past that. Now we're in non-human intelligence. And I'll give a shout out to Darren King, Exo Academia. That he calls them non-conventionally human intelligence. He throws a small c in there and CHI, but it's not it's not that we need them to be this or that. I'm just saying let's wipe it all clean and say until we know for sure that it's this thing or that thing or some combination of those, just a real general term. Like I guess I argued in my second book, what if we use visitors or travelers or others? And Whitley Strieber's been doing that for at least a decade, and I think he's on the right track because it even though it's not simple, it's not an easily expressed, seemingly ambiguous, but still leading acronym. I just think we need something a little more open, something a little more ambiguous that allows us to just say these others without ascribing any sort of origin to them. And non-human intelligence, I think the whole point is to say, well, it's something else. But if they are human, then you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, is all I'm saying. Is that you're saying that these
Right.
aren't human, it's something else. But they very well may be human. So all I'm saying, my plea is let's just not throw human out with the bathwater too, because a lot of babies that get thrown out with bathwater are human babies.
I want to ask you because every time we do a show, it doesn't matter whether it's you're the guest or someone else, we always have new listeners tuning in for the first time, and we thank them for doing that and giving us an opportunity to earn their listening ears. But
Those
Michael,
people rock,
they do. They totally do.
dude.
But Michael, why is it important for us to define or to find out if we are alone or not? Why the stress over this over the last few years, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I think we want to not be alone, right? Would you agree that we want to feel like we're a part of something bigger? And I guess that's what pisses a lot of people off about this idea is that they want that. I've heard from so many people that they're like, well, if it's us, it's boring because we already know what we are. I know I can't cuss on your show, but I would use a word that's abbreviated as BS, because I completely disagree with that. Because if they are us from the future, it's a completely different human group than what we are now, with a different society, probably a much more peaceful society. If we can trust what Joe McMoneagle, remote viewed from the future, a very utopian society. So we could learn a lot from that. It doesn't have to just be like humans versus everybody, that there's extraterrestrials, and that's way cooler. And I get it. Like people poo poo this theory because they want it to be something more extraordinary, but us from the future is pretty extraordinary too. So again, I think it's not this or that. It's probably both. It's probably some combination of all of these things. And I wouldn't doubt that it is a little bit of all of those things together. But for your new listeners, I would say that A, you have no ugly swag. I've seen all of your swag. It's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
I
Appreciate that.
recommend they all check out the non-ugly swag because it's all non-ugly. But also, have an open mind. There's a lot of people coming into the space recently who don't have a big background into all of the things that have been happening throughout the last 70, 80 years, possibly 7,000, 8,000 years. Like where do you want to draw that line? But a lot of people did get brought in with the Cooper Kane, Ralph Blumenthal article in 2017. A lot of people really are coming in this year, Dave. Like I've talked to so many people that are green, they're wet around the ears and they're really interested in this. And I think it's awesome. But
Me
I
too.
guess my best advice is just come into it with an open mind, find reliable resources, find people who seemingly are in this for the same reasons you are, to get to the bottom of it, to understand it. And I feel like a lot of charlatans have kind of fallen by the wayside. I mean, you've been in this for a while too, and I don't know, maybe you can give me your sense, but it seems like a lot of people who were in this before we knew a lot
Hmm.
were maybe trying to make money or gain some sort of fame and notoriety are sort of falling away, and there's more interest in like really getting to the bottom of it without all of the bells and whistles and the nonsense that comes with all the questions that rage around this, because nobody knows. But there are ways to approach it where we could potentially get some answers, and I think that's one approach. And then there's also the things that are happening leading us toward disclosure. And if we drive toward both of those outcomes, we might meet in the middle on some sort of beautiful wave that somebody surfs into the night and answers all the questions for us.
Very poetic, by the way. That was beautiful.
I meant to make it a hockey metaphor because, I was trying to know my audience there, but I went with a surfy metaphor. I apologize for that.
That's okay. That's okay. I was taping hockey sticks while you were talking about that. I got my
That checks out.
yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think for a lot of the noobs who have come in over the last couple of years and found a real love and infatuation with this topic, the one piece of advice that I would give them is go back in history, not just to the calendar of Roswell or Kecksburg or whatever cases, but go back in history to the
And
people
prehistory.
but to the people who helped pave the way.
Oh,
Whether
okay.
it's
Yeah.
Stanton Friedman or Jim Mars or Richard Dolan, Grant Cameron, and the like, where you can learn some of these people who literally have given their lives for 40, 50 years on this subject and are looking at it as at a well-rounded way, not just a political or military way, as ufology has kind of turned into that direction. Go look at J. Allen Hynek, who started off as a complete skeptic. And by the time
Yeah.
Project Blue Book ended, he was convinced more than ever that UFOs are visiting this planet. Not UAP crap, UFOs. Okay. And I think that would be my advice for the newer audience that is out there. It's so much more than just what we are seeing today, and watching a bunch of these groups play disclosure for dollars in trying to set up these power groups of scientists and politicians and mathematicians to try and figure out the technology of it all, when this subject is so much more than just a piece of metal in the sky, that can do 90-degree turns at 9,000 miles an hour or more.
Yeah, I would add to that too that it's not just about, you know, acknowledging these people and looking at their work in posterity, but also the insights. Because things have changed, of course, things do change, but there's some of these researchers who have been at it for a long time whose work is still just as relevant now. Like Jacques Vallée as well. I don't think you mentioned him, but a lot of the insights that came from his work in the 70s, 80s really
Yes.
are just as relevant today. So it's not just like, give an homage and honor these folks because they did stick their necks out at a time when it was much riskier to do it. But also they were saying things that probably are just as important right now as they were back then, maybe more important because it adds a lot of historical context to the narrative.
And as Gary Nolan also states from Stanford University, we need the people to speak up about their experiences and what they are going through. Ordinary people like you and me who are great leads and potentially leaders into great evidence, whether it's consciousness, whether it's a contact, whether it's UFO sightings of hot spots or whatever it may be. And that is something that, always helps move the ball forward. It gives new intention to what we are actually trying to solve. Dr. Michael P. Masters, you hold on right there as we are about to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Dr. Michael P. Masters from Montana Tech University in Butte, Montana, as we are taking on aliens, time travelers, UFOs, and ufology today. We will be right back right after this. We got a great show coming up as well, so make sure you stay tuned on in for the entire episode. We'll return right after this. That was a good start. You didn't swear once.
I tried so hard, Dave. You have no idea. I tried
I know.
so hard not to cuss. I think I maybe said piss.
That's okay.
But yeah, aren't you proud of me? I'm proud of
I,
myself. I
dude,
honestly
I
am
could I
because
could
it's
hug you
so
through
hard.
this camera right now.
Oh man, I'm trying. I'm trying my best. I mean, keep your finger close to that button just in case, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to make it the whole show without saying one bad word. I don't think I've ever done it. I think this is like the 5th time on your show, and I don't think I've done it yet, but tonight's the
Not
night, my
once.
friend. Tonight's the
Wow.
night.
That would be a Christmas present.
It'd be a Christmas miracle, man.
That would be a Christmas miracle. You
It
know,
would. I'm gonna do
I
it. I'm gonna do it for you,
I
Dave.
might
That's
run
my
outside.
Christmas present to you this year.
Yeah, I might actually run outside and sing hallelujah if that happens.
You know, it's not that I mean to. I don't. Yeah, I guess I do have a potty mouth, but I
Oh
get all
yeah,
worked up. You know, I get worked up and then it comes out. I'm sorry.
that's all right.
Not tonight. Not tonight, my friend.
That's all right. Doesn't matter to me. I
Well, it
appreciate you, man.
does. You could get kicked off the radio.
Yeah, well, I still can edit it out, so that's fine.
That's true. All right.
I just don't want to waste time editing like the one time where you swore like 12 times.
Yeah, I know. I went on a tear. Was that the one with Science Bob?
That was the one with Science Bob. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that. I got really I got angry about
emotional.
something.
You were
Emotional.
emotional.
Emotional. That's a better word because it wasn't anger. It was just, yeah, I had the
No,
feels. I had
yeah,
the feels,
totally
and
have
it
to feel.
came out in the form of emotional dialogue. But there's a time and a place, you know, when you're sitting next to your nana at church, you don't you don't let that happen. So I'm trying to like channel that sort of
Mm-hmm.
relationship with you. I'm picturing you as my nana at church
Yes,
with a
because
bunch
I'm
of
sure you look like her.
you do actually. It's an odd similarity. She God rest her soul. But yeah, actually, no, I could see it a little bit. I
Works for
don't
me, man.
have I ever even seen your face like without a beard?
No, I haven't even seen my face without a beard in a while.
This is
It's
definitely the nicest, most luscious facial hair situation I've seen on you. It's
well, it is getting trimmed tomorrow because I got to get rid of the roundness so it looks a little bit more square, you know. And
no,
so
keep
tomorrow
it, man. Keep it.
it's gonna get tailored a little bit.
No, that's a crime against humanity, man.
Uh,
I say
I
leave it.
I am auctioning off my beard. I am. I'm auctioning
But
off.
how does that even work?
Well, we're gonna have some fun with it because we're gonna convince you for Mother's Day to bring your wife to Reno for our 3rd annual fan party, the SOR fan party on
Reno,
May 10th.
Nevada?
Yeah, for May 10th through 12th.
Where and you're gonna auction off your beard there?
Well, yeah, what I'm gonna do is because our listeners there are gonna be there, and
Mhm.
we're gonna hang out with our listeners. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna auction off the beard, and that person will get to shave my beard off, and from there whatever money is raised, we're going right to the roulette table and we're going to put it on black or red, the person's choice. And if they win that money, if it hits, we're going to either split it or I'll give it all to the back.
Hmm.
We're going to try and double it.
I'm not a gambler, Dave. By give it all to the back, I think you mean turn it into a mullet. Is that not accurate?
No, I'm not going to. No, my days of rocking a good mullet are over.
All right. So what does that mean then give it to the back? Like,
No, give it back to the person who won the auction.
oh, gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah. So we're going to try and double it for them.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, then we'll just give them the money right back. If they
So
win,
that's
they
like,
get it all back.
yeah. All right. That could be fun.
Yeah, make some fun out of it.
I got 5 on it.
All right. Starting bid is at 5, but you got to be in Reno, dude. Got to be in Reno.
What if I just send some of my beard hair down with $5 in a little
You
envelope, and
don't
you put it
you
all
don't
on the
have
roulette table together.
We could do that. We'll figure it out. Hey, big thank you to Jennifer and Gizmo for the super chats tonight. Thank you to all our new listeners. Give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe. Here comes the second half hour. Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate you tuning us on in on Spaced Out Radio. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go, second half hour. Dr. Michael P. Masters from Montana Tech University. And Mike, you have toured the circuit this year on speaking about at different engagements about the subjects of UFOs and everything. Are you happy with the way or the direction the field is going right now in regards to trying to prove or disprove whether or not we are alone?
Yes, actually, I am. I think, yeah, I would have to say so. But I mean, I think a lot of us have this ideological sense of where we should be by now, but it's potentially a little overzealous, maybe even unattainable in the time frame that we're working with. But I think a lot of people look toward the government for confirmation that we're on the right track, or we're going to know things, or we're allowed to think about this. But there's also a lot of people who recognize that we don't need them. It'd be great if the government said, yes, this is real, which they already did. At least the Pentagon did back in like 2019, 2020. It'd be great if scientists were like, yes, let's talk about this. That's our job to talk about this. Let's maybe get out there and investigate these important questions because the government said it's real. But I also think that there's a really big and growing group of people who realize that it's already all of those things, and we can talk about it without them, that they're almost dragging us down, that they're holding us back from having a real enlightened conversation about what these visitors are, what the craft are, what they're doing, how they're doing it, what it might mean for humanity, what it might mean for the future. There's just so many deeper questions related to this. If we really just focus on like, well, what did Schumer do and what a-hole named Mike held it back so that he couldn't have this thing and that thing. It's really a distraction, and I almost wonder if it's meant to be a distraction, like sort of the age-old divide and conquer strategy they've used in all of these various scenarios. So yeah, I'm really encouraged by seeing people talking about things that aren't something they feel like they need permission to talk about. And there's this really organic movement where people see the phenomenon for what it is, and they're touched by it and they're passionate about it. And of course, there's this whole other segment of the population that has no idea what's going on. They don't care. That's fine. We don't need everybody to be a part of this. That's absolutely fine. But the ones who are paying attention and who do care and realize there's something really significant here, they're engrossed in it and they're having really informed conversations, and there's this beautiful growth that's happening. So yeah, I'm really encouraged in seeing that in various places with different demographics. It's not just one group of people in one place, but really across the board, people are they're starting to ask the right questions and really get involved in trying to find answers to them.
What are those right questions? What are we missing?
I don't think we're missing anything. I think we're just focused on the wrong things sometimes. Like I just said in my previous rant, I think we're too focused on the politics of it. Like, yes, there's something there. Yes, the government's been lying to us for 70 years. Yes, they have reverse engineering programs. They have crashed things. They have biologics. Yes, yes, yes. Of course. Of course they do. We've known that for a long time. Did it really take David Grush telling us that for us to be like, oh, no, it didn't. We already knew that. That helps validate a lot of the things we thought. It helps get more people into the conversation. But we have to move past that. We can't just focus on that. So, to your question, what are we missing? I think we're missing the next step. I think we're missing the next thing is what are they? Who are they? Where are they coming from? Why are they here? What are they doing? Why are they doing these things? We can look at these patterns and observe the things that they do. Completely wiped from the table origins. It's not time travelers. It's not extraterrestrials. It's not who cares? Let's take that off the table and look at what they're doing and start building from there. Like what are they doing? What are these patterns? How do they appear? How do they move? We can start to get at the origins, but we don't need to start with theory. We can just start with observations. And I'm not talking about putting machines on buildings and trying to be like, well, they came this way and they moved that way. That's important too. I'm also not trying to poo poo that. But let's just start with like, what is this? We know it's real. What is it? And then we can start building from that to potentially gain an understanding of what's actually going on. But we don't need the government to tell us that we're allowed to do that. That if we're going to wait for the government to give us permission to investigate this, we're going to be waiting a very long time. I think the more we focus on this back and forth with all of these various people that maybe even are pretending like they care because they dipping out too. It's not just that they're all go hard all the time. Like they're sort of dipping in and out based on their own political careers and what it means for them. Those are the worst people to lead us. We are potentially being led by the ones that want us to know. I strongly feel like disclosure is happening because the visitors themselves are leading this, but we don't need government. Government's trying to catch up. We can meet in the middle. We can look to what's happening and what they're trying to show us because they don't turn their lights off all the time. If they wanted to hide from us, they would. There's a reason they let us see them. We need to ask questions about that.
Right. And do you think, though, that we have really lost the purpose of what ufology is about or should be about with the way the military has really got involved with this, the way the government has got involved with this? It seems to have taken a real spark and an edge off a real fun, topic of tinfoil, that a lot of people miss.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak to that because I was never really a ufologist, so I never sort of grew up with that. Like, yes, it's a very exciting thing, and I've had a lot of people tell me that, if we have the answer, they're going to be mad. They're going to be disappointed because it's this mystery that they love. It's this quest for understanding. And I get that. I mean, it's like that with everything. And even in academia, we go into this, like, in mine specifically, paleoanthropology. I want to know who our ancestors were. I want to know how we got to be the way that we are morphologically, culturally, technologically, like all of these things that went into making us. And I don't think we're, at least if, without time travel, that's still a mystery. But with time travel, if I'm not just trying to move it into this extratempestrial model, but with that key could unlock so many doors throughout our past. It wouldn't answer everything. It would just give us more questions to think about and more ways of thinking about things that weren't available to us before. So I think it's the same thing with this. If they are extraterrestrials, we're like, oh, you come from this planet and this planet and this planet. Sweet. Let's talk about that. It doesn't answer that, and then we're done. It just opens up all of these new questions. And that's what I found throughout my research into this phenomenon. Like, as I say, I'm not a ufologist, but I'm interested in the same questions as ufologists and I study it in similar ways, but I can't see any point in which, even if they were time travelers and they sat down and said, "We are you from the future," that opens up so many doors, not just to our future, but also to our past. How can we study our past, understand where we came from? How did we get here? And we're just one small blip in this whole past to future human landscape of culture and biology and physiology. So no, I think I get that when people say it, I get it. Like they want the mystery, but I think with the more answers we get, even if they're tiny little bits, little morsels, like the Reese's pieces that lead out to ET, we get to ET and there's just more questions. What are you? Who are you? Where'd you come from? Why are you with all these stuffed animals? Why are you so patomorphic? Like all of these things just come flying at you. And I think it's going to be like that for a while. I don't think we should see disclosure as some like period at the end of a long run on sentence. Rather, it's a dot, dot, dot. And then the rest of the sentence and paragraph and novel takes off into new and exciting places.
I think you're right on that, and I think that it's something that we need to explore a little bit more. Except for me, the way I look at it, Mike, and I'm curious your opinion of this. Has and maybe I'll rephrase the question: has this subject become too militarized by not only fellow scientists but by the military itself, in order to try and get it out of the public? We've heard numerous people say they'd love to see ufology uh, end. They would like to see it self destruct. They would love to see it go away and the people involved go away. So that way, uh, more private and common research can be done without interference.
Well, that's ridiculous. Um, like you and I were just talking about before the break, it is the people who have been studying this throughout history and not ufologists. Like you mentioned J. Allen Hynek. I mentioned Jacques Vallée. Like they they were scientists. They were tasked with studying this. J. Allen Hynek specifically was tasked with debunking it for the government and then realized this was real and then became an advocate for it. So it's not a line we can draw. I think it's a false dichotomy to say that there's this group doing this and there's this group they're trying to take out because it's all one thing. There's so much crossover. Like I'm a scientist, but I'm advocating for getting to the bottom of this. I'm stuck my neck out there since 2018 as an advocate for that same thing, and there's a lot of other people doing it as well in academia, and more each day. I don't think that we can draw a line because if we do, that's part of the divide and conquer strategy that they want to use against us. So by even phrasing the question the way you did, I think it plays into their motive.
It could. It could play into their motive, but could that not be covered up by, for the last 70 years, there's been a motive to cover up this subject by the military industrial complex?
Yeah, absolutely. And they have the most to lose from all of this coming out. They're the gatekeepers. And that was clear when all of the things that were in the Schumer Amendment got pulled out because they have a vested interest in guarding not just their secrets, but their profits, the engine that drives their profits and their bottom line. But it's starting to get to the point where it's obvious. Like before you could say, well, of course, someone at Right Pat maybe is not interested. No, now it's clear what they're doing and why they're doing it. But does that mean that they're winning? No. I think they're digging a deeper hole. They're shooting themselves in the foot by going hard against this, especially in light of where we are as a culture, not just with the military and what they allow us to know, but where we are as a culture and the passion that people have to try to find this out is I think it's the train's moving too fast to stop. The toothpaste is out of the bottle, the genie's out of the bottle, the butt plug's too far in. Like there's just so many allegories that we make, but they're all true, I think. There's no stopping this. There's going to be people that try to prolong it, but it's going to happen no matter what. It doesn't matter. They're going to keep throwing these things at us. There's going to be that divide and conquer strategy in all of these different circles, but it's not going to work. It's going to happen regardless.
Who brings it out? The public, the experiencers, the aliens arrive on their own, the
I mean,
extratempestrials, you know?
the pterodactyl entrails, I think, is what we renamed that as.
Perfect.
I don't know, Dave. As much as I study the future, I don't know the future.
Really? I thought you'd put, a nice, set of tarot cards down on your desk and try and figure this out scientifically.
I mean, as much as tarot cards are a very useful scientific method, if I had to guess, are you asking me to speculate? Are you asking me to guess?
Speculate.
I think what's happening now, and this is just speculation, is that it is the visitors, these others, who are leading this. We're moving this forward with various cultural implementations, with various individual and grassroots implementations of an awareness strategy where they open the minds of people on the bottom zeitgeist level, cultural level. And then I think there's also an aspect of media, like testing media and seeing what can come out, how it plays with the audience, how the media picks it up, various media outlets. But I do think it's all sort of being orchestrated by the maestro in the seat of the UFO. I really do think it's coming from that. If it wasn't, none of this would be happening. You wouldn't be having Republican and Democratic Congress people asking informed questions about UFOs. There'd be absolutely no reason for them to do it. There would be no reason for Chuck Schumer to be writing legislation that has all of the same words in it that we've been using for decades. Their hands being forced. And I don't think there's much they can do about it, but it's encouraging. It's encouraging to see. And it gives me hope.
In your opinion, who's forcing that hand, though?
The ones who have been hiding from us this whole time, the ones who have been showing up that we're making cave paintings of, that we're worshiping at altars, that we're making our babies cry as we reshaped their skulls to look more like them.
That's actually, honestly, a very deep answer. That truly is.
It's them. It's them, Dave. I think it's them doing it because it's time for us to acknowledge the reality of this on a broad macrocosmic level. I can't know that. I'm not saying that as if I have some special insight. You asked me to speculate, but that's what I think's happening.
And I'll be honest with you, I think it makes sense. I think if to put it in layman's terms, I think a phone back prior to 2017, I think a phone call was made and it was answered. And
Yeah, I think so too.
they, whoever they are, gave a date and said, we're on our way.
It's what it seems like, doesn't it?
It just makes sense. It just makes sense. Otherwise,
yeah, and if you look at all the weird things that have been happening, like with the balloons that were shot down earlier this year, and like, obviously Grush's testimony, David Fravers, Ryan Graves, everyone sort of coming out. It's a big news cycle and then nothing. Big news cycle and then nothing. It almost seems like testing the will of the people. Can they comprehend this? Is there epistemology in a place where they can lay a foundation and build upon it? Lay a foundation, build upon it. And I think that can only come from the highest order of people, I would argue, or entities or beings or a more intelligent higher consciousness that is able to orchestrate that over long periods of time. But yeah, 2017 was definitely a line in the sand.
Yeah, the only thing that concerns me about it, Michael, though, is the fact that there's been a real push towards narrative that may not be prudent to the truth of what's actually going on, or why they, whoever they are, may be coming here. I mean, whether it's the threat narrative, whether it's any sort of narrative that doesn't keep an open mind. I wonder how that's going to affect any real-time results in the future when these extraterrestrials, ultra terrestrials, whatever we want to call them, actually arrive.
Well, but why does it matter? I mean, if we're talking about a phenomenon that dates back potentially 30, 40,000 years, why does this narrative right now in this English speaking set of countries matter that much? We're talking about things, people, beings that transcend every nation on earth. Time periods dating back through historic, prehistoric. It's just I don't know if it matters. It's a tiny blip on their radar, and they have to manipulate it. They have to be a part of it. But when you're talking about narratives now, like this now, compared to all of those nows they've been a part of, I don't think it's significant. That's just my opinion.
Well, it may not be significant to them, but there's 8 billion people on this planet that it's going to be extremely significant.
Right. And what percentage of those are paying attention? Most of the human population is still completely detached from what's happening. It's really weird to me. There's a small segment that's super passionate about this, and then the vast majority of the modern human population is way more concerned about K-pop and whether Taylor Swift showed up at a Kelsey Grammer screening of Frasier. It's like, what are we doing? What what are we doing as humanity? That this is potentially one of the most important questions of our time, and it's all or nothing. It's mind blowing.
What do your students say about it?
About my mixed metaphors, because I totally botched Kelsey Grammer and that. What's
Yeah,
his
with
last
Travis
name? Oh,
Kelce.
Kelsey is his last name.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah, Travis Kelsey. They would probably say close. That was close. Kelsey Grammer was a deep cut. Frasier's coming back though, so that is definitely something that's relevant in modern times. But Travis Kelsey would have been a better land for that. I mean, I don't talk about it a lot in my classes. I get asked to give guest lectures. I do talk about it when I'm asked to talk about it, and sometimes it comes up organically, but I don't necessarily bring it up, even though it is relevant. It's highly relevant to what I teach in anthropology and all of the different sections of Anthropology 101, cultural, biological, linguistic, archaeology as well. But I don't force it down their throats. I don't even really talk about it. But when I do, it's the same response as everybody, Dave. I know we're coming up on a break, but it's big eyes. They're looking around like, is everybody else hearing this? Are we talking about UFOs, aliens for real? And then they hear the things that are talked about and they sort of calm their eyes and then pay attention and perk up. And yeah, that makes sense. That's what I get. That makes sense. And actually, I was asked to give a guest lecture real quick in a philosophy class at Montana Tech this semester. And a student even decided to write her final paper about this extratempestrial model and like the philosophical merits of it. So it does have an impact in the young people of today.
Dr. Michael P. Masters. We have him for another hour here on Spaced Out Radio. That's why he's one of our favorite guests to bring on throughout the year, and that will continue in 2024. Spaced Out Radio, hour number 2. UFOs, aliens, time travel, coming right up. All right, buddy. We got about 5.5 minutes. You want to take a quick break?
Am I allowed to pee, Dave?
Well, that's
Do I
what
have to
I'm
get a
doing.
hall pass, or can I just?
Yeah,
Can I
I'm
just
going to give
go?
you a hall pass here. I'm going to put you in the green room, and I'll be right back. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. We'll be right back, guys. How fun is Mike? Good to have you all with us tonight. Thank you. If you haven't already, wherever you are listening, hit subscribe, ring the bell. Let us know what you think. And yes. Gong Show, how you doing, man? Good to see you. And who else? Vaughn Patrick. Wow. Good to have you back, buddy. Mhm. All right, we got just over a minute left. Thank you tonight to T-Bone, Jennifer, and Gizmo for the super chats. Very much appreciate it. Stephen Clark, how you doing, man? And thank you for coming on in. Les Paul Holland, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for joining us. And what else? Yeah, we do not have ugly swag. If you go shopping at spacedoutradio.com, you're going to get cool clothing. You really will. We're always adding to it. So make sure you check it on out. spacedoutradio.com. And come in January, we're going to have tickets available, $60 or $100 for VIP for our third annual Spaced Out Radio fan party in Reno, Nevada, May 10th through 12th, 2024. We want to see all of you there. Come join us. You're going to have a free live radio show, VIP party, ghost hunt, Skywatch with UFOs with Melinda Leslie. A bunch of people that you've seen on the show over the years are going to be there, and we want you to attend as well. So come for a great weekend with us in Reno, Nevada, May 10th through 12th, 2024, at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live at KPNL. All of our archives are free. You could join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. And what do you got for us tonight, Clam? Yarfa. Yarfa is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon, the SOR Space Travelers Club. We continue on with Dr. Michael P. Masters from Montana Tech University, talking about everything from aliens and time travelers to UFOs and the state of his world. How you doing there, Mike?
Doing good.
What do you got there? What do you showing?
That?
You're
It's
showing
a sticker.
Something. Nice. That's a flying saucer.
Well, I'm not allowed to say it. I told you I wouldn't cuss on your show, but George Knapp gave me this sticker a couple weeks ago. And
nice.
I love it. Now, I wanted you to see it, but I didn't say what is on it, Dave. So I honored our commitment.
I appreciate that. Very much appreciate that. Hey, I want to clear up a rumor with you right now because I heard this a couple of weeks ago. And I asked you about it on the phone, and you said to bring it up on the show. So I'm going to bring it up on the show.
Yeah, that thing.
Okay. So apparently there are.
Hilarious.
Hold on a second here. I have to put on, the proper. Where is it here? I got to put on the proper hat.
You need one of those hats that y'all wear on your horses. What do you call those? Mountie hats or something?
No, there it is. Hold on. I have to put on my NSA hat here.
Oh, I'm about to be interrogated. All right.
In order to, and thank you to all the agents and agencies who are tuned in tonight. We very much appreciate your service. Give us a call sometime. You already got the phone number. We don't need to give it to you.
You know all of our thoughts, actually. You don't even need to call us.
Exactly. Apparently, there is a rumor going around the UFO world that you are a part of the CIA.
Yeah, I mean, almost a part of the CIA. When it's a funny story. I got called by the CIA, offered a job less than an hour after I got called and offered this job that I took at Montana Tech, and I said no. I politely declined because I wanted to teach. I wanted to do anthropology. They called me back 2 weeks later. I was having lunch with my mom at this little cafe on High Street, North High Street. I think it was called Mozart's Cafe, actually. That called me back again, said, we'd really like you to come work for us. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I'm going to go teach anthropology in Montana. And that was the last and only interaction I've ever had with the CIA or any alphabet agency or any law enforcement agency
Wow.
since.
So,
Yep.
are you in full denial of the fact that
Full frontal denial. I actually, Tupac had Thug Life right here. Mine is
yeah,
not CIA written right across my belly button in the same way.
very nice. Very nice. But does that kind of go along with the territory of what you do when your popularity starts to skyrocket within the UFO community?
Well, I would take issue with my popularity skyrocketing. I think I'm still sort of an even Steven, slow and steady kind of guy. But I would argue that when you're even a little bit of a public figure, people say things like that. Or, I don't even think it's like a tear you down kind of thing. I think it's almost just like, well, why? Why does he care about this so much? He must be paid. Like, why would he? do- like, if you could have seen my schedule over the last 2 weeks, you'd be like, yeah, he must be paid by the CIA to go do this stuff. No, I believe in getting this message out. Obviously, I'm an advocate for the time travel model, but even if it wasn't that, I'm an advocate for getting the UFO phenomenon out in front of people. So I do things that aren't easy, that take away from time that I would spend doing tons of other things. There's this misconception that we get paid for TV shoots and documentary shoots and conferences. We get a little bit, but it's not anything that makes it worth it. So yeah, I think anytime you see someone out there, you question their motives. My motive has been pure since I was 9 years old, where it's this idea makes sense. I would like other people to also think about it because I was forced to think about it when I was 8 or 9 years old. And it does make sense. And so it's worth it to me to make these sacrifices to get other people to open their minds to other ideas outside of they come from Venus or Mars or outside of our solar system, because that's the progression that we went through. We went from they must be here to they must be out there. And now maybe we have to look within a little bit and look at what it means to be human and how these beings, at least the vast majority of them, seemingly have a lot of those same human qualities. So that in itself is worth the sacrifices that I make. And if people want to chalk it up to something like I'm working for an agency, that's fine. But you can also look at what I actually do and realize how ridiculous that sounds.
Well, I mean, the fact is, you can never tell these days. I mean, a handsome devil like yourself,
Well,
you know,
also, who
it-
cares? Even if I did, I'm not saying I do, but even if I did, does that take away from what I'm saying or how I'm saying it? Like, what's the end game there? If the CIA is, let's just for a hypothetical, if they are speaking through me or I'm an agent of them, does that change anything? I'm still true to myself. I'm true to this theory. I'm true to the purpose behind it. Like, was the CIA hiring me when I was 9? Like, how does this even work? I don't get it. Like, sure, it's fun to think about, and yeah, throw me under the alphabet letter bus, but I don't get it. Like, what's the purpose? What's the end game?
well, then I guess we're going to quash that rumor then right
Let's
now.
do it. Let's quash it.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll need some big moose antlers in order to rip it
Let's
apart.
squash it like moose antlers under the tire of a big truck going through Tim Hortons to get coffee in the morning.
Mm. I quit that habit, by the way.
No, you didn't.
I
Nobody
did.
quits Tim Hortons where you live, my
I
friend.
haven't been to Tim Hortons in 2 weeks.
Oh, that is pretty good. All right. You've
Yeah,
officially quit Tim Hortons then.
yeah, and trust me, it's hard. Very, very hard. Oh god, I want to pull in there so bad. And
Sorry, man. I wouldn't have brought it up if I knew you were on recovery
now I
mode.
can taste a nice large ice cap going down nice and smooth.
That's
Problem
not bad.
is my waistline can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, feel that.
My blood pressure can't handle it anymore. So cheers to water. Cheers to water,
Yes.
my friend.
Cheers to water. I mean, this is basically water. I got these. The only reason I got these is they were half price because the box was ripped. For your listening audience, these are little cans of Stella Artois, which are normally like $22. They were $10. I was like, sure, I'll do that.
Hey, you are a bargain hunter.
I am. I'm thrifty. I'm a thrifty CIA operative.
Well, I mean, okay, so let's get back into UFOs and everything. What do you think the craft are that people are seeing? Are those time traveler craft under your theory?
I think some of them are. Yeah, I think the ones that are the sort of classic flying saucer, cylindrical, elliptical, rotating, or at least some part of them is rotating. I don't think the entire craft always is rotating, but seemingly like the outer ring of it is, but partly for anti-gravity propulsion, partly for electromagnetic field generation and manipulation of the space-time metric, I think is what's happening there. However, there are other craft too. We can't just, in the same way, we can't say all of these intelligences, these beings, are future humans because we have to recognize the variation. There's other craft that aren't that shape. But like I said in my first book, Identified Flying Objects, that we have this expression in biology that form follows function, and the form of those craft seemingly indicates the function of creating closed time-like curves and traveling through time and manipulating space-time in and around them based on a number of solutions to Einstein's field equation since 1915. I won't get into that whole history because we've done this before on your show. But then I do think the ones that are the big triangular craft, I in my second book, I mentioned that they have a different function, it would seem, from people's reports. I've never been on one, so I can't say personally. But if you look at the reports of people that have, they seem to be what I call a floating fertility facility, that there's lines of incubating fetuses, exogenesis chambers, incubating a fetus outside of the womb. Terry Lovelace describes people being stripped naked, taken into these rooms, seemingly having sperm extracted, eggs extracted. He was subjected to that. Many other people were as well. So I think it's not just like a one size fits all sort of response, but the different craft are arguably doing different things, but for the same reason. I think they're all involved in the same process and they're all part of the same project. What I would argue is an intertemporal project, possibly even like some sort of seeding program. It's hard to say. There's no way to know what they're doing, but if we do look at the various abduction accounts, you can start to tease some things out of that. And it seems like they're doing something for some kind of future purpose that may be kind of bad at first and then eventually good.
You mentioned the black triangles. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who believe that that's actually sophisticated American technology.
It's possible, yeah. And again, if Okay, so another thing I didn't mention is that Terry Lovelace reported seeing modern human, arguably American, soldiers with the stripes on the shoulders, the insignia, and Air Force garb working amongst these others, these visitors. So at what point then do you say that's ours or it's theirs if we're all involved in the same thing? If there's a base on the far side of the moon and people have been seen there in the same regalia, what's ours, what's theirs? Who built it? They probably did. 'Cause it's way easier for them to do it than us, but can we really differentiate at that point?
That I don't know. That I don't know at all. I mean, if you have craft that big, they obviously have to land somewhere.
Yeah, and I do think I mean, it sounds insane. All of this sounds insane. I've gotten to the point where I can talk to you and your audience knowing all this still sounds insane, but also that we've all read a lot of the same things and have been exposed to the same literature to the extent that we can just have a conversation. But if I went on CNN to talk about this, not that I wouldn't still believe these things. I don't think it's a belief system. Not that I still wouldn't have this same sort of level of awareness of the history of what's been going on and what we do know today, but I wouldn't be saying these things. That doesn't mean that I'm lying. It doesn't mean that I'm hiding something. It means that you have to know your audience. So that's one of the reasons I like coming on your show is we can just have these conversations. But with that said, every now and then I do hear what's coming out of my mouth and I'm like, yeah, that sounds crazy. But if you have something like that big giant triangular ship, the one that possibly is the same one that was seen by thousands of people in Phoenix. I love giving talks in Phoenix because so many people saw that and they're like, yeah, something's happening. Um, the thing that, again, not to just focus on Terry Lovelace, but this is also relevant to his case when him and Toby, his army friend, were laying in the grass. This thing blacked out the sun. He describes it being 5 or 6 stories tall, triangular black craft, just like the one described in Phoenix. And then they had UFO amnesia, missing time, all of these things. But I think, and I've said before that I think that sort of thing is built in our time and likely is hiding out on not the dark side of the moon because it still gets sun based on where it is relative to the Earth and the sun, but the far side of the moon where we can't see it because it doesn't rotate. A lot of people think it rotates. It doesn't rotate. The same side of the moon is always facing us. We always see it. What better place to hide something out like that? So I don't think that's a time machine. I think that was built in our time by future humans for this purpose. And it's probably getting old. It's probably like going into a civic center from like the 1980s or a hotel that went through its prime in Myrtle Beach in the 1990s, where it's like still okay, it works, but not super nice anymore. Because they probably built it during that peak period of zygote extraction throughout the 70s, 80s, 90s. But I don't think that's a time machine. I don't think that thing could travel through time. It's too big and clunky.
When we look at all the species that we have seen on this planet or people have allegedly seen, okay, whether it's alien grays with the large head and the big brown eye or black eyes, whether it's reptilians or other humanoids or mantid beings or ant people or the crab people or whatever it may be, okay, how do we know that or what is your theory on all of these different species being future man, or are they?
No, I don't think all of them are at all. And I've said that from the beginning that there's just too much variation for us to ascribe not just this theory, but arguably any theory to it. What I mostly talk about are the upright walking bipedal, four-limbed human or human-like or humanoid forms. Those are undoubtedly in our lineage. Those are related to us. There's no question about that. Um, and I could go into all of the reasons why. We've talked about it many times on your show already. I've written 2 books about it. We don't have to do that. I already touched on it at the beginning of the show. But I don't think this theory can account for all of the variation. I still have questions about like Mothman, Dogman, Chupacabra, like that, like crypto stuff. Don't think this accounts for it. I mean, maybe, but I can't ascribe some sort of understanding to it that would make sense. So I just don't. And I think that's important to recognize the limits of any theory. I think we've all collectively, as a human society, recognized the limits of the extraterrestrial theory because it doesn't check out. Like hardly anybody subscribes to that anymore, which is crazy because it was the main theory throughout the history of the phenomenon. And it makes sense. You see something coming down from the stars, and you're like, well, it must have come from the stars. It's coming from the sky, so it's from the stars. But no, I don't claim to know what those are. I think it's important to recognize the variation and to try to figure out all of the different things it could be. But if we're talking about upright walking hominin forms with bilateral symmetry, 2 gut openings, all of the same craniofacial configurations of eyes, nose, mouth, retracted face, bigger heads, bigger eyes, those are us, my friend. Those are us.
Or if there's a God, an imitation of us.
Well, that adds an extra level of speculation. But yes, if there is a God, then I mean, it could be everything. Everything's on the table. That's what we're trying to get away from is guarding the gaps.
Do you believe then, and you mentioned this earlier, as we got about 2 minutes to go here, that the phenomena, whatever the phenomena is, it's a pretty loosely based term that seems to make the most sense. Do you believe that there is a phenomena then that is guiding what is going on?
Yeah, I do. Well, I guess I should ask a follow-up question. Guiding what's going on in the context of us as a species or like the phenomenon in regards to disclosure? Because we talked about that earlier, and I unequivocally said that I do think they're guiding that, but
I think the phenomena is in control of everything, to be blunt. I really do. I think it's godly. That's my opinion
yeah,
of it.
yeah, I would agree with that. I guess I was just asking the way that question was phrased is I didn't want to answer the question without knowing exactly what the question was.
Well, tell me what you think of the phenomena.
That's such a broad question, Dave.
Well, I
Like,
understand that, but
well, what do you think about water, Dave? What do you think about
it's
air?
it's thinning me out. The water is thinning me out. That's what I know.
You need to get to Tim Hortons, man. I'm gonna come up there and like drag you through a Tim Hortons as an intervention. You've
Oh, you're not
gone
gonna
too
have to
far,
drag
man.
me. You're not gonna have to drag me to a Tim
No,
Hortons.
I would actually kind of agree with that. I don't think the phenomenon is God or God is the phenomenon. But you said we had 2 minutes left, like a minute and a half ago. So in the next 30 seconds, I'll say it's both. I think a lot of world religions grew out of this phenomenon, and we ascribe the same things we experience now, especially with collective consciousness, panpsychism, telepathic abilities, future knowledge, clairvoyance, levitation. All of these things are completely consistent with the UFO phenomenon, and they're also completely consistent with most world religions. So I think they're inseparable.
And on that note, we're gonna shut it down for a few minutes here to go to break at the bottom of the hour with Dr. Michael P. Masters, who we have until the top of the hour. Time travel, aliens, UFOs, it's all on tap. We may even sneak in some of your questions as well. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Stay tuned. There we go. We're clear. I can't hear you. You muted yourself.
I wonder if that was a mute button. I got this button on here, and okay. So tell me now. I'm about to hit it. If my lips keep moving, tell me if it's working.
No, I'm just messing with you right now. Yeah.
Yeah, God damn it, Dave. I trusted you.
I know.
No, my kid really wanted a headset he could use to play Fortnite on his Switch, so I gifted him mine. And so now I'm stuck with this USB thing. I don't know how it works, but that's good to know in case I have like a cough sometime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Muted, not muted, not muted, not muted.
There you go. You're
Well,
moving
thanks
up
for
the
helping
world.
me out. No, I'm moving down. Like I said, I gave my kid my really favorite headset. Now I have this.
I just can't believe your answer that you're not CIA.
I can't believe anybody would ever think I was. They gave okay, so they did offer me a job. Had I taken that job, it's so weird to think that I would still be doing the same thing. Well, I couldn't. I wouldn't have the skill set and the background and the scientific knowledge to do it. It's asinine to think that
Well, it all
I could
depends
do
what
what
the
I'm
offer.
doing.
All
Well,
depends what the
I guess the thing would be, yeah. So I guess in a hypothetical, I could be doing what I'm doing while getting paid by the CIA. But what would, like I said in the show, what would be their end game? Like, what's the point of that?
you are going to be chasing down extra, donut terrestrials or whatever they're called. Extra Tim Hortons donuts terrestrials.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I enjoy those rumors, but that one doesn't make any sense. And honestly, it'd be kind of cool. Like, if I could still do the same thing I'm doing, but they
Mhm.
would pay me, like, well, yeah, why not take that check?
Absolutely.
They couldn't tell me what to say. They couldn't tell me what not to say. They'd just pay me to keep doing it. But at the same time, if they wanted me to do it, why would they pay me if I'm already doing what they wanted me to do?
So you are.
So I
You're
am.
open.
Yeah.
You-
I'm coming out of the closet, Dave, with that asinine comment. No, it is funny. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm. I really appreciate you doing this tonight, man.
Yeah, always a pleasure to talk to you, man. It's actually not even that late. I talked to George Knapp 2 weeks ago on a Sunday after I did oh my God, like a day after a conference. I had to get up and do a documentary shoot. Then I had lunch with Leslie Kean. Then I had to go watch the Browns win and then the Bengals win from some bar in Manhattan. And then I had to talk to George Knapp from 1 a.m. until 5 a.m. and then fly out of JFK, which was an hour away from my hotel in Manhattan, at 6 a.m. and barely made the flight. It was one of the craziest, like, long days. So it's almost midnight here in Montana, but it feels like 8 o'clock in the evening. It's made me recalibrate, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So
Are you
what were you
recalibrating?
saying? What were you saying about Reno? When is that?
That is our fan party. Write it down. May 10th through 12th,
10 through 12.
2024 at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort.
Silver Lake. Oh, that's funny. It's a very strange synchronicity.
Yeah. You should come.
Casino. And you said resort. So
Yeah.
there's like foot massages and stuff.
Yeah. You know, the ones that put the strap around your waist and then vibrate the fat off you, like that one.
Yeah, and then tuck your arms back behind in that white jacket that they put on you.
Sometimes.
If I had $1 for every time they've given me that treatment, I'll tell you.
Thank you tonight to Gizmo, Jennifer, T-Bone, Rob, and Peter Benton for
T-Bone.
the chats. Yeah, good Canadian kid, that T-Bone. We will be coming back here in about 5 seconds.
Could have given me a little warning.
We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter on Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Here we go, final half hour. Dr. Michael Masters talking aliens, UFOs, everything in between. Mike, thank you for joining us. You can find any of his books at any major bookstore or online. I want to ask you something, because apparently when you were in New York, you gave a rousing chat about your own experiences, something that you haven't discussed here.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really talked for a while. When was the last time we chatted? Maybe yeah, it was this year, I guess. No, I mean, I wasn't able to talk about it for like a year after it happened, and I'm aware, like, I don't want to, take away from other. It's weird to think of myself as an experiencer, but like people's experiences where they were taken into a craft and like things were done to them and with them, and people have just had so many more bizarre ontologically shocking experiences, but mine, yeah, I felt it really deeply for like about 3 weeks to a month after it happened, and just really trying to struggle to come to grips with like I guess a reframing of reality. So yeah, even previously when we had talked, I still wasn't ready to talk about it.
So
But
what happened?
I've started to.
What
Oh,
happened?
it's just it was I think of it as a mini abduction, I guess, where I was taken to a space and uh was very politely asked to not do what I'd been thinking about doing. The weird part was, what sort of shocked me out of my space was that they started with something they knew would make me pay attention, which was that they told me, I know you've been thinking about quitting lately, and we'd really prefer you not do that yet. And just saying that uh, was jarring, because that was something I had thought about a week before I went down to this conference. I just wanted to not do this anymore. Like, I always love talking to you, Dave, but
Like,
a
do
lot of the
you
other
like
stuff's
talking about UFOs?
it was
Or
yeah, it was the
queer
UFO
stuff?
thing. Sure, yeah,
Right.
like it's a big part of my life now, but I do have like a legit job. Like, I am a professor at a reputable science and engineering university in Montana, and have a family who I don't like to leave when I have to give talks, go to conferences, do TV shoots. So I just wanted to be done with all of that. And so in my mind, I was doing dishes one night about a week before this conference, and I thought, that's it. I want to be done with this. And then there were a number of things that happened. If people, want more information about it, they can watch that inquiry into anomalous experiences conference, or Jesse Michaels. That was the first place I talked about it, was with my friend Jesse Michaels, who brought me down to LA twice over the last year. And I told him about it the first time after we did the shoot, just as I'm leaving, like, same sort of thing. Like, dude, I'm so tired. And I'm sorry if I seem like, it just happened like a month or two before he brought me down there. But when I went back in October, I kind of thought he would want to talk about it. And I had to decide if I was ready to. And yeah, I decided I was, and we had a good chat. But there's so many nuanced things about it that challenged my worldview, and like the way um the way I conceptualize reality were shifted. Like, not just because I realized that there's an entity that knows my thoughts and can confront me in physical space about things that not only I thought, but like conversations that we've had in the past that they referenced specifically, that made me realize that it's not just this thing, this one individual who they were using to, like, as a conduit to like interact, two people at the same time, this one man and this woman to my left, but also like other conversations with these others, whatever this is, this higher consciousness, this non-local consciousness, like to leave there. I wrestled with that for like 3 or 4 weeks, just not really able to function in this reality anymore. And it didn't stop after 3 or 4 weeks, but it got better. And then there'd be kind of this ebb and flow. Well, like, what is physical reality? I would be so pissed. Like, what is this? How does it relate to that? How does it relate to this all seeing, all knowing, non-local consciousness? And it was really a struggle. And then to have to talk about it, or to th- to be confronted with the idea of talking about it in front of an audience of people that I know Jesse has, and he has a really um, diverse audience, was yeah, it was challenging. It still is, I guess, because I'm still kind of struggling to find words to talk about it now.
When did this happen?
October 14th of last year.
Nighttime, daytime, missing time?
Both, yeah, all. It was so what happened is that there were two individuals. One's named Eric, one's named Heidi. And Heidi I knew from a previous conference down there. And I was trying to get beer at the bar, like this makeshift pop-up bar in this dance party. They were having a Halloween dance party. And they took over her brain down there and brought me up to this room. She's like, "Well, I see you're out of money. I've got a key to the VIP room. Let's go up there." And there was a ton of beer. Like the organizers, Alejandro Rojas and Karen Brard, put on a hell of a party. And in the VIP room, there are a ton of like good beers that I drink, and big bottles of like Costco liquor and stuff. Wasn't messing with those. So we went up there, and she says, "Let's go get these beers. We'll bring them back." And then just kept me there. And I was trying to leave, and she said, "Well, my friend Eric wants to talk to you." And I'm like, "Who's Eric?" And she's like, "Well, my friend Eric really wants to talk to you. Don't worry, he's cool. You'll like him." And so she kept me there and kept me there. But it wasn't her that was keeping me there, as it turns out, because she started to not remember things that were happening. Like, when they use people's brains like that, a lot of times they don't remember things. They're just like kind of checked out. And then this higher consciousness, whatever it is, can just kind of take over your body and your brain and have you do things and speak through you. And that's exactly what was happening. And then he came into the room, slid his chair up in front of me, and that's when they turned him on too. He knew he was coming to meet Heidi, who I guess they had never actually interacted before, because I've gotten to know them over the last probably couple months or so. And hearing their account, like we just sat down together and did a Zoom conversation about a week or two ago, and really kind of figured out what everybody's experience was in this. But he was brought there knowing that he was going to meet Heidi, but he'd never met her before. And as soon as he came in, boom, they had control of his brain. And now he's right here in front of my face doing all of these things and interacting. So I wasn't talking to him. I wasn't even talking to her from the moment that she took me from that
Right.
room downstairs. It was them. It was just them. It was this collective sort of uh, hive mind consciousness where we're all interacting together. But what or who I was speaking to was the same entities I've been speaking to since I was like 8 or 9 years old. It's really bizarre.
So Heidi and this other person, they were human.
Eric, yeah,
Eric.
they're
Okay.
I wouldn't even call them normal humans because they have their own just really laundry list of insane experiences. Eric's brain is different. His brain was changed by them, by a UFO specifically. And so maybe this is an important thing to point out, that there is a connection between these others and the UFO phenomenon, because he was pinned down by a UFO and he was changed completely. He describes himself as being like a southern hillbilly who just wanted to go fishing all the time. Uh and after this event, he lost his southern accent. He had like a lot of knowledge, like college level knowledge, without ever going to college, and like an insane thirst for information. Sleep schedule was disrupted, like so many cases. I talk about one in my second book that Jacques Vallée described. So they changed him, and his brain is powerful. Like they can actually register uh like audio waves, like electromagnetic waves coming out of his brain when he just turns it on. He can, and he said to me that when he modifies it, when he's using his brain to speak, it's actually he's able to articulate it better than when he uses his voice to speak. Like he can modulate his brain waves to communicate better than he can with vocalized speech. And I felt that. I felt that tremendously when they were doing this to me on the balcony in Mesa, Arizona. What was going into my brain was this stream of information, and I remember seeing like uh, like streaming patterns, colors, and just flowing waves, I guess. As this was happening, this telepathic communication, and at some point we stopped talking auditorily, we stopped vocalizing, and it was all just telepathic communication. But at some point, like for your listeners that don't know, it was partly like, we'd like you to not stop. We'd like you to continue doing this. But the main reason why they brought them there, Heidi and Eric, and they as the ones that were doing this, was to put into my brain three things that were to be important later at some future time, which does indicate that they know the future. Does that mean they're future humans? I don't know. But that was the main point. After we got past the pleasantries of, we'd really appreciate if you didn't just stop doing this for a while, they wanted to put three things in my brain. I said, okay. And yeah, and it was this insane, like, just mindgasm of color, light, sound, information. I really don't even know how to describe it.
I don't know how to describe it either, because I think everybody's personal experience is just phenomenal. It really is, and should really, be tested and true to whatever you believe. How did it change you to have all of a sudden this experience come out of nowhere?
Yeah, it changed me a lot. Like, I mean, beyond the ontological shock, it was just yeah, but I mean, I guess me sort of disappeared. There stopped being me in the sense of like uh the way we conceptualize it. I no longer see things as separate, not just living beings, not just humans, but all things. Ego disappeared because it's not, Dave, it's not like they just like shoved something into my brain. Like they brought me into this world too. I got to see and feel this almost like this antithesis of time and space. This world where like all things exist and all things exist together. And I haven't been able to hunt since. I've been out hunting with my friends. I've always been a very avid hunter. It's how I fed my family for, a decade plus. And I can't kill things anymore. I used to hate spiders, and then now I catch spiders and gently put them outside or just let them crawl around, sometimes crawl on me. I see everything and everybody, and war is stupid and peace is great, and all the hippie shit that people have been saying for decades. It's just like I just feel that more. But it's a dissolution of ego, I think. Like I'm not trying to sound like some raging hippie, but that's really what I came away with. And I think it changed my brain too. Because that connection I used to have with them that I could write off as just being in my head now is much more palpable. Like it's more of an open dialogue rather than I know the difference now. I know the difference because they showed up. They used these people to do this. Now I have a physical sense because I grew up as a materialist scientist. Like this is what we do in graduate school. We force people through the sieve, and if you can't put a p-value or an r-squared value to it, then there's no point in studying it. Now I realize that there's way more to this reality than that, that maybe consciousness is fundamental and this physical reality is actually emergent from it, and that we need to possibly reconceptualize the entire way we think about reality.
We have you for another 6 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. I want to get to Derek's question here, if I can find it here. Let's go to Derek. Mike, is it hard today for your family to accept your views on the alien phenomena, considering your Christian upbringing you have mentioned before?
That's a great question. It depends on which family member. My family is vast and complicated. When I was about 10 years old, my dad started banging the babysitter, and my mom married my dad's best friend. So there was a big bifurcation in the family. My dad went on to have babies with the babysitter. My uh, mom, my stepdad, which was kind of cool because that was my dad's best friend. I knew what would become my stepsisters since I was born. I grew up with them. So there's just a lot of Brady Bunch stuff. So when you ask that question, it's like, well, which one? Like my dad was a fundamentalist Christian. I think he struggles with it, but the babies he made with the babysitter are open-minded. They're our generation. They're a little younger than me, and I respect them. They respect me. We talk about this stuff. So it's complicated. It's hard to answer as like a whole because it's all very much like which family member you're talking about. But that's an interesting question.
All right. Do you feel then, after, going through this experience that you had, that it's given you clearer light as to what truly is going on within the phenomena rather than just trusting your scientific evidence and speculative side?
Not really. I mean, you'd think so. And they put three things in my brain that will come out at some point, or maybe some of them have. I don't know. I don't know what they are. They told me I wouldn't have access to them. They said, "Are you okay with that?" And I said, "Yes, that's fine. Clearly, this is important to you, and I trust who you are and what you're doing." Even though it was all super weird in those moments. But yeah, I think it's yeah. I forgot your question, Dave. What was it? I'm sorry. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Have you changed? How has it changed you? How has
Yeah.
it set you back or opened your eyes more?
Yeah. Wasn't that the question you asked me before Derek's question? I swear I
No,
already answered that. It
no,
wasn't?
that's
Oh.
because
Well,
yeah.
I've got missing time then, my friend. I'm sorry for that.
Let's go to
But yeah,
let's go to T-Bone. Have you ever heard of the 45S versus the 52S story?
I have not. I'm sorry
Mm.
about that.
All right, let's go to Paul. Have you ever heard of SABR, synthetic astrobiological extraterrestrial robots?
I feel like they're just messing with me now. No, is that even a real thing?
I have no
Maybe
idea.
it
They're
is. I
starting
haven't
to.
heard of that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I haven't, Paul.
That's okay. We still love you around here. Do you consider yourself an experiencer now? Do you wait for the next time it's going to happen?
Yeah, that's the thing, Dave. I don't know. Like it's hard to use those words because I things do happen now. They happen all the time. Really, really weird things. I mean, we could have like 10 shows dedicated to the weird stuff. Like that thing I just told you about, that's the tip of
Mhm.
the iceberg compared to the stuff that's been happening lately. And it's like, I don't know. Like, I guess I'm an experiencer, but at the same time, like I said, it seems like people who get taken up into craft and like have things done to them, that's way more intense than a lot of the things that have been happening. But the things that have been happening are pretty crazy too. I don't know. I guess so. I guess by definition, I am an experiencer now. And you know what?
Well,
You know what? I'll own it. I'll own it. I am an experiencer, and I'm telling the truth about my experience. And the vast majority of other people who have had strange things happen to them are too. And we should all be talking about it. I started to realize that I would be a hypocrite if I didn't talk about this thing. Like I
Mhm.
dedicated my second book to the people who are brave enough to talk about their experiences, even though it's hard for them. It's really hard. And so eventually I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I should. And honestly, they let me ask them questions. Ask them three questions. The first one is kind of personal. I won't talk about that. The second one was, can I talk about this? And they said, we want you to talk about this.
Of course they do.
So between that and the fact that I'm a hypocrite if I don't talk about it, when I honor and respect people that have the bravery to do so, it was time to do it. You know, when people get mad at me, some people get really mad about this. I didn't choose this. I didn't want this. This is something that was brought into my life. Does it mean I'm a horrible person? No.
No, I
Just
think it
blaming
makes
the
you more
victim.
understanding. I think it makes you more understanding. Mike, we got 40 seconds left. Tell everybody where they can find your books.
No.
No?
No. I don't want to promote anything. I'm just happy to be here, Dave. I love you. I love your show. I love your
Thanks,
audience.
buddy.
And it's been great talking to you. And honestly, you know, it's so great to have these conversations. I think it's important. I'm not gonna promote anything. I'm just gonna
Just let
love
it
and
go.
friendship. Love and friendship, my
I
friend.
appreciate you, man. You are truly one of the great people that my audience loves here on Spaced Out Radio. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Merry
And all
Christmas
the
to all
best
of
over
you
there.
as well.
And we will do it again next year, Dr. Michael P. Masters, one of the greatest when we bring him on the air each and every time. When we return, Among the Missing from Steve Stockton, Robin Haynes with the Crypted Report. It's Dave 101 Night and Strange News of the Week, all on Spaced Out Radio's hour number 3, coming up next. Just so you know, you almost made it until 10:51 when you shit.
What? Did I shit?
You
Oh, I
shit
said
at
shit. Ah,
You almost made it, brother. You almost made it.
damn it. I
Yay!
really thought I
That
did it,
close.
Dave. I
That
really
close.
thought I did it. Oh
Oh,
my
I
God.
was laughing inside. Laughing
I'm
inside.
sorry, man. That was supposed to be your
I love
Christmas
you, man.
present. That was
I
supposed to
know.
be your Christmas present. I said
I know.
shit. I don't even remember saying it. I have no memory of saying shit.
Yeah, you totally did. You let the shit flow right out of your mouth.
I'm sorry, man.
That's all
I
right, my
really
brother.
did try though, Dave. I hope you know.
I
I
know.
really did
It's a
try.
valiant effort.
And
We don't use the
that's
word
pretty
valiant
close.
enough around here.
That's
But
pretty close.
hey, bro, honestly, love you, my friend. You're
Love you
absolutely
too.
amazing.
Have a
And
good night.
yeah,
Let's have a happy new year. Let's have a good 2024, right?
let's do it. We'll talk to you
All right.
next month. Or we'll talk to you soon and get you back on early next year.
Sounds good, man. Good night
All
to
right,
you.
take care. Dr. Michael B. Masters. How awesome is he? Daniel Hinshaw, welcome to SOR chat. And I'll be right back, guys. There we go. Ph.D, how are you? All right. I'm ready for hour number 3. Good to have you all here. Thank you for coming in. Big thank you tonight to Gizmo with a hat trick of super chats tonight. Thank you, Gizmo. Jennifer, T-Bone, Rob, Peter, Major Lee. Very much appreciate the love tonight, guys. Thank you so much. And tomorrow night on the show, Anna Moss and Jared Nelson will talk their UFO investigations. It's going to be good. Get back to the heart of ufology tomorrow night. Remember, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. And the boink sound is Robin Haynes hiding in the background. Yes, and her impeccably beautiful laugh. I love it when she laughs. Yeah, we're going to bring on Dr. Michael Masters a few more times next year. And we got like 5 seconds. So here we go, people.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. YARFA. YARFA is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is that time of the night where we say hello to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing and another creepy story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. I bought this Ouija board when I was 19, so in the year of 2018. My friend and I saw it on Amazon for cheap and grabbed it because we were planning a trip to Centralia in Pennsylvania and thought we could use it there. Fast forward to about a week later, we end up in Centralia, and we're in a graveyard during sunset at the grave of a young girl named Jane. She was supposedly known as one of the first victims there. I believe her uncle may have been responsible for what happened to her in the mines before the fires had started. We soon got a lot of activity after asking if Jane was there. The Ouija board answered that it was Jane, and almost every question, it either spelled Jane or the number 7, with both the numbers or letters. We thought it was weird because we didn't understand what 7 had to do with anything. This went on for almost an hour until we said goodbye and thought to try our spirit box. The spirit box then kept yelling out the same thing over again, and soon after went completely silent and wouldn't work again until we left the cemetery. We thought nothing of it and went back home to Massachusetts the next day. We wanted to try it again to see if it was real or if we were scaring ourselves. So we went to the graveyard that my grandmother was buried in and tried to reach her. We did not mention her name or anything, so nothing could try and trick us. And we only got the same answers of Jane and the number 7 again. We closed out the session and drove to the closest McDonald's because it was only a mile away and we wanted to be somewhere where there was a lot of people. Curiosity kicked in, and my friend opened the box to make sure we had put it away properly. And as she did that, my new 2016 Nissan Juke started to idle and the lights went crazy. To this day, until I traded in that car, my Juke would do that anytime it stopped, and it never did this before that day. We put it away and left it for a month or so in the trunk storage in my car. There is a place known as the Rocking Horse Graveyard in Massachusetts that we wanted to visit, and we have visited before. There's nothing scary. It's just people dropping off rocking horses, and the owner of the land moves them around in fun designs for a little girl that used to run a lemonade stand there. We've never had a scary experience here, but the Ouija board was still in my car. We went at night, so it was dark, and we both looked up and saw what we thought was a pole in the field, but then we both saw it move. I moved closer to get a better look in case it was someone that needed help. As I got closer, it disappeared completely in front of me, and we got too spooked to stay there. The next day, I was at work at 4 a.m., and I left around 12 to find out my brake lines were sliced and I couldn't use them. I don't know if that was because I was in a bad area or the Ouija board, but it still made me aware. That was the last time we noticed anything for a couple of months. I soon quit that job and worked with my sister, but we carpooled because she had car issues. So I moved into her apartment with her boyfriend and her young daughter. I had to empty my car because I was trying to trade it in, so I brought everything into the apartment. I didn't end up trading in that car yet, but I forgot everything from the car in my room at my sister's for a while. After about 3 days of the board being in their apartment, there was problems with their Xbox turning on and making strange noises at 3 a.m. on the dot. Every day, even if it was unplugged. My sister had also taken a picture of my niece while home alone, and in the background caught something standing very strangely in the hut's reflection behind. There was no TV or other person around at that time. The Xbox stopped doing that the day I moved out and took the board with me. I moved into my own place within the next couple months and obviously brought the board with me. Within the very first night, my kitchen cabinets would open and slam shut by themselves every time I shut off the lights for bed. This went on for months until my friend wanted to borrow the board because she was going back to Centralia with other friends. I stayed behind. I do not know experiences with the board in Pennsylvania this time, but she came back a week later, and one of her friends came up to visit from Florida. He didn't believe this thing would cause this much destruction, so he wanted to try it in his hotel room. Now, his hotel room was right next to a rock wall where it was believed that someone was buried in, so we thought that would be a good spot. We played and got something very cheerful at first until it started to spell out Jane and 7 again. Being curious, my friend broke out the spirit box again while me and my Florida friend kept the board going. She was getting the exact same answers as we were. She put the spirit box away and she put her hands back on the board and it started going crazy, going back and forth. I know Zozo is the demon of the board, but that's all it was spelling, and I didn't believe it until that day. We quickly ended the session, and as we said goodbye, all the hangers in the closet went crazy, and my friend was too scared to stay in there alone, so I spent the night, and we did not sleep at all that night. My sister was throwing a Halloween party, and my friend had brought the board, and we thought it could be used as a prop, but we never touched the planchette to the board. It has been at my sister's house ever since, and nothing happened that night, but since that day, the new Xbox has been turning on and off again, and we've all seen things walking around the house. Things are happening to this day as we've opened the box for the first time since Halloween, and within minutes, my sister's bearded dragon's tank started to smoke from the lamp that has never happened in the years that they've had him. Signed, Anonymous.
Oh, that's creepy. Nothing but creepiness there on Space Out Radio's Among the Missing with Steve Stockton. If you want more stories just like that, just head on over to youtube.com/Among the Missing to find out more about these creepy phenomena and missing people. Yes, youtube.com/among the missing. From the missing to the mysterious for the final time before Christmas. Robin Haynes is here with the Crypted Report. All right, Robin Haynes, it's always good to have you back here on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you for coming, and Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you too. I always love being here.
I know you do. We're the one time of the week where you stay up really, really late for us.
No, you know what? I stay up really late every night. I'm horrible. Like by the time I get done with phone calls, working with people and talking to various people, it's literally 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. So, but I do love being on here.
Well, we appreciate that. We only have you till the bottom of the hour because it is a shortened version of everything. But I want to take you back into 2023 here. Give us some of your highlights of this year when it comes to meeting up with the elusive cryptids like Sasquatch.
I think for me, it's just watching them. Like they come in the backyard and like they freely walk around uncloaked. And I'll go out at night even to take the dogs out, and they're there. Like the other night, they were doing owl calls to each other. They were trying to warn me about some things that were going on, which I took seriously, thankfully. And there was a black one back there with blue. He had the most gorgeous blue eyes, and he was squatted down in the middle of the backyard, and you could just see the blue in his eyes. And the interaction that I get from them, like they'll come right up in the backyard, or they'll be peeking in the house, or they'll tap on the windows. You know, it's the constant interaction. And if they're not interacting in where I can physically see them, it's the mind. And I've been able to go to these places and visit some people that had them on their property and able to interact with different plants. For me, it was a huge, thing to remote view all over the globe and mind speak with them all over the globe. But when you get to go to these other areas and work with different clans, and help different people, it's tremendous. And I feel so honored. People call me and say, "Hey, will you help me with this?"
Robin,
I take that really seriously.
Robin, you're breaking up quite a bit there. I don't know if we can maybe.
We have storms coming in. Is that any better?
That's a little bit better. Yes, thank you. Sorry about that.
But yeah, but I love it because people have invited me to their areas to work with their clans or to help them with their clans. And I just feel really honored and blessed. Like I've met some of the best people of my life in this research field. I really and truly have. I've made friends that I probably wouldn't have met before. And I'm so honored and grateful to have them in my life and then to work with their foots as well as mine. So it's wonderful. It's been a really good year that way.
Well, that's excellent. I mean, how about your sightings and close encounters? How is this compared to other years?
I think it's been a really pretty steady. Like I'm fortunate and I'm really blessed because I've never not had the encounters. Like, they occasionally will go away for a couple weeks or whatever, but the encounters have been really good. But I've been fortunate because I seem to have a steady stream between them and the UFOs and the dogmen and everything. I keep pretty busy every year. I think the ones this year just were really peaceful, a lot of fun, able to, like I said, on some of these trips, get up close with a lot of them, and that was good. But I don't think it's been any more or any less. I think I had like 2 months where it slowed down and then it came back full force and it was hotter than ever. So yeah, it's been good. It's been really good.
Any interesting items that Sasquatch left for you this year?
Let me see. I've had like flowers, like, that you would find like wildflowers or whatever left on my door, or tapped on my window. And then I found them on the windowsill outside the house. That's always been kind of cool. Or, if you say you're looking for something, all of a sudden it appears on your front porch. And that's fun. I've had them bring kittens, like newborn kittens with no mom, and put them up on my door, but and I ended up, bottle feeding them or something like that. But Yeah. I mean, it hasn't been so much a lot of the gifts as much as the experiences. They get closer every year, so that's always wonderful. More interaction, more on the outside, like where my bedroom is at, the head of my bed is up against this one wall, and they'll go right on the outside of my head and then tap on the house. So it's literally just right there. you know um, More activity as far as staying out in the open uncloaked, and that's always fun and appreciative. I've had some that have stood in the bushes and actually spoke English where I could hear them, and that was fun. I really liked the language, so that was good.
At any point, did you have close encounters that you feared something maybe a little bit more nefarious was going to happen?
No, not at all this year. They have been very, very friendly, very warm. I haven't had anybody try anything that they shouldn't. I haven't gotten like the wall of fear or anything to make me believe that anybody was going to try to hurt me. They've been wonderful this year.
Wow. Out of everything that's happened this year with your own encounters, what's the strangest thing that happened?
Let me think. I think the strangest thing was I went out in the front yard, or not in the front yard, but in the backyard one night, and one ran across the backyard, jumped over the fence, and climbed up in the tree. And I was like, I mean, all I did was step in the yard, and it was probably not even 50 feet off the house. And then I turned around, and there was a baby that did the belly crawl across the yard, and that one again was even closer than the first one. And Mom didn't bat an eye. She was on the other side of the fence, and she was just standing right there. And I think that was the highlight for me, when you see the littler ones. And I had the dog with me, and she didn't bother the dog. She didn't bother me or anything. And the baby it did a belly crawl right across the backyard. And I was probably at that point 25 feet maybe away from it. And she just stood there like it wasn't any big deal. But then, like I said, we've been getting a lot of the verbal speech from them this year, which has been really good. I think more so than any other year.
One of the things that I will remember in 2023 was you really picking up the signals that
Mhm.
with my son
Yes,
and
your son is incredible.
and what he was getting. Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Well, your son was getting, if I remember it correctly, your son was getting mind speak. And he was also picking up the energies from them. And I think the only thing that with him, he just needed explained as to what he was getting and why he was getting it, and, what the feelings meant. But he's very intuitive, your son is. He's tremendous. And he has great energy, great frequency, great light within him. And they enjoy him. They really, really enjoy him. And I remember you calling me that night and us having a conversation about it, because he had gotten mind speak. And I think it was the first time he had gotten a lot of it at one time. And it kind of, that's unsettling for an adult, let alone a child. And it was just a matter of explaining it to him, letting him know that he was safe. Nobody was trying to hurt them. They were just trying to connect with them. And I just felt like it was a really positive thing. It started out kind of scary, but I think it ended on a really good positive note for him.
Yeah, we didn't have much happen in that area this year. We really did not. And I really thought after last year that this year would be a lot more productive in our area with maybe more footprints and maybe even
Yeah.
a sighting or two, but it just never seemed to take off. Is that normal?
It can be. It can be. I think we tend to forget that they have lives too. Like I've had my clan that several members disappeared for like 8 months, and then they came back with a vengeance. They have things they have to do. And I know it sounds really cornball, but like they actually do. There's things that they're sent away to do, whether it's a hunting party or to help do something somewhere else, meetings, whatever. And it does sound crazy, but it does happen. And so sometimes that does happen. I would, wait till see what happens next year. Maybe they've moved on for whatever reason. Something came in the area that they decided they weren't going to stay, which is always a possibility. But it does happen on and off, and they usually do come back.
So should I try that area again next year?
I would check it out and look for the telltale signs. If you're not finding footprints, look for stick structures. Look for things that, might be something that you could coordinate with them. And I wouldn't give up on that area. I would try other areas as well to see if they have moved. But a lot of times they disappear and they come back. Again, if something came into the area that they felt wasn't safe for their children or their families or the clan, then they would move to another area. But I have had them where like I said, I had my core members of the clan were gone for 8 months. I was devastated, just devastated. I still had the rest of the clan, but my core guys were gone. And that was the hardest thing I've ever endured in this field, because I was normally with them every day and every night outside with them. And they were gone 8 months and they came back. And they followed me when I went to South Carolina. But I mean, I've had that happen before.
What do you mean by core guys?
What I mean is, in that clan, there was several. It was a very large clan. And I had certain ones that I literally did everything with. If I was outside, they were out there. They would follow me around. They were the ones that would tip on the window every night. And I would go out and sit with them at 2:00 in the morning out in the middle of the woods. And I always just called them my core guys, because out of the entire clan, I would interact with all of them. But those guys were my constants. They were the one that as soon as I was out that door, they were right there and they were following me around. And they were the ones that would mind speak to me more than anybody else. If I had a question, if I wanted to know anything, they were the ones I went to, because they would be more receptive of me asking questions. And they were ones that would interact even closer. Like they would come up and pat the back of my head, play with my hair, that kind of things when I was walking through the woods, where the other ones would come around and I could see them, but they didn't want to, play with my hair. They didn't want to answer a bunch of questions. They were more aloft, and, they would be there and I could see them and I could see the things that they did. But my core group, where there was like 4 or 5 of them, and they were hardcore. Like I could ask them anything. I could talk to them at any time. If I was outside, they were there. They would follow me around very closely, never let me out of their sight. And so I had formed a very, very tight bond with them. And when you get used to the energy that they radiate, because they all have an energy signature just like we do, and you get used to that energy constantly and it's around you all the time, because it's so high and so much stronger than ours, when they are gone and they aren't back, it's almost like you go through withdrawals, because you're missing that energy. That energy isn't with you. And it is like a type of a withdrawal, because your body's used to that intense energy from them and then it's gone. It's just like, if you're taking any type of medication and then you forget to take it, you get that feeling because you forgot to take your medicine. It's the same way, because your body gets used to that intense frequency and energy. So it was very difficult for me when they were gone. I was thrilled when they came back. And one of them, who was just like, I'd been around him since he was a kid, and he didn't get back for even longer. And that was really difficult. I mean, he's back now, but it was really hard.
Wow. What do you hope to accomplish in 2024?
I am so excited about 2024. A lot of projects I'm working on. Of course, the Genome Project and conferences with Dr. John Stamey, the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. I'm going to be working with some new foots and working on a move. And I am so excited about my future. Like everything is falling into place. And, it's like, as old as I am, you wouldn't think that I'd be that little kid running around going, oh my gosh, I'm going to end up with everything I ever wanted. But that's kind of how it's turning out. I'm just really surprised and blessed. So lots of activity I'm going to be working with several clans, not just 1 or 2, but several different clans. Great people that I'm working with, and I'll help them with their areas as well. I've got my website up and clients are coming in steady on that, and I'm able to reach out and help a lot of people. So very, very excited about 2024. I feel like it's going to be the best year yet.
Where can people get a hold of you?
You can find me on my website, which is paranormal-empowerment.com. if you want any services, or you can find me on Facebook under Robin Haynes. Do not go to Robin L. Haynes, go to Robin Haynes, Haynes, or my email is rlynnE.forestpeople@gmail.com.
Robin, thank you so much for a great year on Spaced Out Radio. We will talk to you next week. Our final appearance.
You got it.
On 2023. Coming up next, it's the Dave 101, my Christmas wish list on Spaced Out Radio. Then, the weird news of the week. We will be right back for the final half hour of the mighty SOR. Stay tuned. Fantastic, Robin. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Always good to see you, sweetheart.
Absolutely, my dear.
I'm getting so excited as April gets closer because I get to see you.
I know. I'm getting excited, and
I
I'm gonna
know.
do a diligent effort here over the next couple weeks to try and find my passport because I have to.
Yeah, the conference seems to be getting bigger all the time, so I'm really thrilled. I can't wait for you to be there.
Mhm.
So I will talk to everybody later. I love you guys. See you next
Take
week.
care, Bye-bye.
Bye.
Robin Haynes. Isn't her energy just infectious? I love her. Hey, Sarah Yon, how are you? Nice to see you.
Thanks for asking.
Oh, now you sound like Siri on my phone, Sarah Yon. Oob to Joe's Maine. You've got weirdos. Good times, good times. Hello there, Chris. Teen, how are you? Christian Thompson, how are you? Welcome. Peppa H, nice to see you. We got about 30 seconds. Or pardon me, a minute 30. Thank you tonight to Gizmo with a hat trick of super chats. Major Lee, Peter, Rob, and Jennifer. Very much appreciate the love and support. Don't forget, a great way to support us is by going to spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag, people. Nothing ugly there. Dino Bravo, how you doing? 30 seconds. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bumblefoot, read the Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Excuse me. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. You can join us on Patreon, the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is that time of the night once again where we say, get off my lawn. It's Dave 101.
It's time for Dave 101.
It is Christmas time after all. So instead of whining, complaining, griping, and moaning, today I'm here to say Merry Christmas to each and every one of you who listen to us and put up with my weirdness each and every night. It's not a hard job for somebody like me to be this weird, but it is a job that I enjoy and a job that I look forward to each and every night to see how strange we can get with you each and every day. You see, the high strangeness, if you wrap yourself around it like a hot dog bun to a good old-fashioned hot dog, can be some of the funnest times of your life. And I know this from personal fact. Because who else out there loves to tell people, what do you do for a living? Oh, I talk and chase monsters. It's been a very good year for Spaced Out Radio. And I want to first off thank our incredible team that we have behind the scenes, people who have come, people who have gone, because in no way, shape, or form we could not be where we are today without everybody there, without everybody participating to try and grow this show to be a mainstay as it is right now. I want to say thank you to our radio stations, starting off with Jody at Saga 960 in Mississauga, Ontario, Charlie over at Vernal, Utah. Oh, how I wanted that station. That was my goal this year. I said heading into 2023, we want that radio station in Vernal, Utah, right by Skinwalker Ranch. So if you're listening in on channel 94X, thank you for becoming fans of Spaced Out Radio. Thank you to Chuck Contreras at KZFX and Len at the Bull and the Rattler. over in Apache Junction, Arizona. And of course, Ryan O'Neill in Noonan, Georgia, the team up in Bellingham, Washington, and of course, all of our digital stations as well. You guys, for broadcasting us each and every night, we thank you for allowing us to use your airways to get the strangeness out to the people of the world. I want to thank all of our chatters this year. Yes, they come and go. Some with health problems, some due to work schedules, some who just fall out of love with us, and to those who have been here for years. I think of Nikki, I think of Joe, I think of Kira, I think of many others out there who have taken the time and seen the passion that we have here at Spaced Out Radio to do this show on a nightly basis. And I wish three cheers. Hip, hip, hurrah, and hip, hip, hurrah to each and every one of you who spends their night with us. See, one of the hardest things you could do as a radio show host is keep an audience. It is the most difficult task out there. Why is it difficult? Well, people's life change. Maybe their work schedule changes. Maybe they break up with a partner or a spouse or become widowed, and all of a sudden their schedule is thrown into something completely different. You know, I think of the people out there who listen each and every night because they're happy to do so, and they want to be here with us because they've had strange things that happen to them as well. I think of the people out there who are lonely, and especially going into the holiday time like we are, where we are going to make sure there's programming for them. So that way they are not alone and they have a familiar voice hanging out with them. I think of the people who have worked hard jobs over the years and have finally retired and sit back and enjoy and have a laugh at some of the topics that we consider and get into. Yes, it's been a great year for Spaced Out Radio, and it's the honor of myself and the team behind me that we sit here and be with you on a daily basis. You know, sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's hard to find guests. Sometimes it's hard to all of a sudden go UFO night after UFO night after UFO night. But we do it because we know that's what you want to hear. And we do it because that's where the numbers are. That's what it shows that we need to do. I want to say a big thank you to many of our special guests who come on each month. From one of my best friends in Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers to our Keith Andrews and Geraldine Orozco, Science Bob, Arla Ventura, Lon Strickler, just to name a few, who each and every month come and bring their research for you guys to have as much understanding and fun with these topics as possible. It's funny how it goes, you know, when you bring on certain people each month, people will say, it's too repetitive. It's too much the same. We try and break that up each and every time to make it more entertaining for you. I want to say thank you to a lot of my mentors in this field, whether it's George Knapp, whether it's Grant Cameron, whether it's many others like Lorian Fenton or Melinda Leslie, Tom Whitmore, Victor Vigiani, and many others who have helped guide me down a path of understanding when it comes to this topic. I think of new friends like Random Guy who are able to push the boundaries of what I think is right and set me straight to keep me grounded. Sources are a big, big story of 2023, whether or not we should name them or whether or not we shouldn't. The idea that the audience wants us to name names on people, I can understand why. However, the journalistic rule is you can't. You never burn a source because when that door closes, you can never reopen it again. It gets that difficult at times, even for shows like ours. I look at all the topics that we talked about this year, whether it's Sasquatch and Bigfoot, to werewolves and dogman, to aliens and UFOs, to the political side, to UAPs versus UFOs, to consciousness and near-death experiences, true crime. We hit a plethora of topics this year that were absolutely amazing and enjoyable to listen to. Every guest is memorable. I always get asked, who is your most memorable guest? The question is impossible to answer. Why? Because, in my opinion, they were all great. My favorite type of guests on this show aren't the people who sit there and do interviews each and every week on other podcasts or YouTube channels or radio shows. My favorite guests are the people who come out of the woodwork for the first time and feel it is time to tell their story. It is time for them to explain what is going on, to let other people know that they are just like you, except they found their voice and being able to talk about their own personal experience. When someone finally gets to that point when they are ready to talk and they say, "Hey, Dave, I'd love for you to interview me and talk about my own experiences." I always get excited for that because we can hear from the experts, we can hear from the researchers, but all in all, the phenomena is all about you. It's about me. It's about everything going on around us. So, our goals for 2024 are very simple as we are entering deep into year number 10 of Spaced Out Radio. We turn 10 next year in November on the 30th. I want to see us try and get more radio stations. That is a goal of mine personally, to bring more of these topics to people so that way if you're driving in your car, you can listen live. If you're driving in your semi-truck across the United States, you can tune us on in. Our goal is to build our YouTube channel and maybe start a Rumble channel as well in order to get the people out there who want to sit back at home after a hard day's work and just relax with some fun, entertaining woo. We're going to try and get less serious on the UFO topic, but we want to stay in touch with the news that is going on because we feel you as a public have a right to know. And that's what we are going to do. We're going to try and bring more personal experiences next year. And we want you guys to be a part of it as well. That is why we hold the 3rd annual Spaced Out Radio Fan Party just for you guys in Reno, Nevada this year. Why? Because it cut our costs, number one. And number two, it's more affordable for you. And we want all of you there. You are all invited to come hang out with us in Reno, May 10th through 12th at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort. This show, for our audience, I want you to remember this, is always about trying to bring the best entertainment of these topics to you. It doesn't matter whether we believe the topic or not, because sometimes it does get a little difficult when you hear some of the stories that we do on a daily basis. But who am I to judge? I have never stepped in your shoes. You've never stepped in mine. And it would be rude of me to all of a sudden say you're wrong because it sounds really hokey. That's for the audience to decide. Our job is going to continue to entertain you, be the best that we could be, and continue to grow. Now, me not being any sort of techie, it's probably going to take me a little bit longer than pretty much anybody else. But with the team that we have behind me at Spaced Out Radio, anything is possible. And that's why I love doing what I do. Yes, at times I'm tired. That's what happens when you work 16 hours a day, 5 days a week for the last 10 plus or 9 plus years. But I wouldn't want it any other way right now because this is what I enjoy. This is what I love to do. This is something that means something to me, not only as a journalist and a radio host, but as an experiencer as well. I, just like you, want to know what's going on. But I, just like you, don't want the wool pulled over my eyes. And we're going to try and continue to push where is that wool over your eyes. We don't want you blinded. We want you to be able to see exactly what we are and how you as a citizen of the world are being screwed by some of these topics. I love you guys, and the best thing that you could do for us, wherever you are, whether you're in Radio Land, whether you're on YouTube or on the podcast side, join us on social media. Come hang out with us. We got a great group of people, especially in our YouTube chat, who are absolutely amazing. We also have a number of ways that you can support us. Share our show. That's how we're going to grow. Because after all, we are a community. We're a community of misfits. We're a community on an island of misfit toys, just like Santa Claus. But Santa Claus eventually will come around, pick up those toys, and take them to where they are loved, which is usually, in our case, other misfits who want to hear our stories. Keep your heads up for 2024. It's going to be very, very fun. And I thank you, each and every one of you, for allowing me to earn your listening ears in 2023. That's the best gift ever that you could give us. And I appreciate it. Merry Christmas, everybody. Let's get to the news.
What time is it?
It's time for Shirky Poo's news.
Here's a weird one. An 80-year-old billionaire and heir to a fashion dynasty is reportedly planning to leave his money to someone unexpected. Nicholas Push, the scion to the luxury design house, plans to designate his former gardener and handyman as the heir to his fortune. The unnamed 51-year-old man, who comes from a modest Moroccan family and has 2 children with his Spanish wife, is set to inherit billions of dollars of the Hermes fortune from Push, who is unmarried, has no children of his own. The house is currently valued at over $220 billion, while Push reportedly owns between 5 and 6%, putting his net worth between about 10 billion to 11 billion US and making him one of Switzerland's most wealthiest individuals. Push and his attorneys have already launched legal proceedings to make the man his heir, which involves the billionaire formally adopting the former gardener. Publication reports the man would also inherit property in Marrakech, Morocco, in Switzerland, valued at $5.9 million. Push, a fifth-generation descendant of Thierry Hermes, who founded the fashion house, left the supervisory board in 2014 on bad terms when LVMH, Moet Hennessy Louis Vuitton, acquired 23% of the company. He resigned because he has left for several years beleaguered by members of his family who have attacked him on several fronts, and not only on LVMH. He has he has some very bad experiences and felt very badly and felt harshly criticized on numerous occasions, even while he is very, very attached to Hermes. And yeah, the unorthodox plan faces challenges, though, particularly the adoption of an adult, with the report suggesting that requirements of such adoptions require a prior relationship during the adoptee's minor years. There's also reports that Puch has previously committed his fortune to the Isocrates Foundation, which he established to combat misinformation. The foundation, in a statement shared with Fortune, opposes any unilateral cancellation of the inheritance contract, which would make for a legal showdown. All right, continuing on. A groom has been put on blast for his crude wedding vows. Oh, no. Oh, no. The man, identified as Cody in a video that has gone viral, admitted to having not prepared a speech and instead only spoke about his wife's buttocks. The clip, which shows the couple at the altar, romantic and beautiful, was shared on Samuel Foray's TikTok account and has more than 9.5 million views. I promise to smack that ass every chance I get, Cody says to his bride. Booyah, he added. That's all I got. Romantic guy, isn't he? Yeah, I'm sure that the bride's parents really, really appreciated that type of educational speech. The officiant is seen trying to give Cody another chance to get it right for his beautiful bride, but the giggling bozo literally said, "No, that was it." The wedding guests were stunned, with one person heard saying in a disappointing tone, "Cody, no!" Cody replied, "I didn't write nothing out. That's what I'm going with," adding, "We've made it this long." The bride smiled at her groom, but anyone with two working eyes could feel her discomfort. Commenters said that Cody should have taken the last moment more seriously and that the bride deserved better. Even the crowd was like, huh? One person wrote, "Dude, OMG, I would cry." All right, next one up. Apparently, there's something in the potatoes. A hospital employee was left disappointed after learning her Christmas bonus came in the form of a potato. Amanda J. Panda took to X to reveal what her employer is doing for its staff this year. "My work is doing a potato bar as our Christmas bonus," she wrote in the first of a series of posts she referred to as her Charlie Brown villain origin story. "I'm literally getting a hospital potato as a bonus," she wrote. "They all said it had a $15 value, so it will be taxed on our next check." In the viral post, which amassed more than 2.7 million views, Amanda asked readers, "Does anyone need an assistant so I could just quit right now?" It appears some people following along suggested she start some sort of protest, but she explained, "Hey, bad times, I need a job." She did ask readers if she could show up with Tupperware and just get my money's worth in sour cream, which wasn't necessarily a terrible idea. Sadly, Amanda admitted the potato bar wasn't even the worst thing her work gifted their employees after last year's conference call with company leaders. What did they give them last year? 30-minute Wex specs with leadership as a gift. Nice company, isn't it? We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody sitting at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Good show. Good show. That was good. Very nice. Hey, Griff, how you doing? Neil Warden, good morning. Super Duke, Super Duke. The Crypted Report with Super Duke. Mm-hmm. There we go. Have a fun night tonight, everybody. Hope you all did. All right. It is that time of the night where I'm going to remind all of you that we're back tomorrow. Final show right before Christmas break. I will be back on December 27th after tomorrow night's show. So enjoy your Christmas holidays. And thank you tonight to Gizmo with a hat trick, AA Ron, Major Lee, Peter, Rob, and Jennifer for the great super chats. Much love to each and every one of you. We're calling it the night. Have a good one. As soon as I got this lined up here. Where is it? There it is. Good night, everybody.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.